According to World Archery, archery is one of the oldest arts still practiced and dates back to around 20,000 BC. So how many of you have shot a bow before? How many of you are possibly curious to try shooting a bow? Well, there are four main categories of bows, and I'm going to teach you about them. So the first category we have is bare bow. Bare bow is more closely related to the traditional style of bows. Bare bow archers are not only allowed to have anything on their bows besides some weights that they could add to their grip. They do not have any sight or other markers on their bow that help them aim. They actually use the tip of their arrow to aim. Bare bow takes a lot of practice and time because you have to figure out where they should aim depending on the target and the distance. They use a finger tab or a glove seen here to protect their fingers. The string will make your fingers hurt extremely bad because you have to pull back the string multiple times and it will sit in the same spot each time. How much each person pulls back is dependent on how stiff their limbs are. The limbs are the black pieces of the bow. They can be detached and changed with other limbs. Another way bare bow archers will aim is what they call walking the string. Further distances, they will have to aim higher, so to avoid aiming way above the target, they will slide their hand down the string a little. They put their finger tab on the string where they normally would push it down further so the arrow is angled up more. Similar to bare bow, just the way more equipment is the Olympic recurve. Like in the name, this is the only form of archery that is in the Olympics currently. This style of bow is very similar to bare bow, with just slight differences in the limbs and such. However, the Olympic recurve, they are allowed to have sights, long stabilizers, and clickers. They have marks set up on either sheets or on their sights, and they move their sight to wherever distance they are shooting, and they cannot move it throughout the whole shoot. The stabilizers help with stabilizing, making it more leveled. Archers normally have them mess around with them for a while to figure out what is level and most comfortable for them. They can also add as much weight as they want to each stabilizer. The clicker is to help them make sure they are pulling back throughout their shot. So they will place a metal piece over their arrow, and once they have pulled all the way back, the arrow will move past the clicker and it will fall through so they can shoot. Just like the bare bow, they use a finger tap to protect their fingers. Moving away from recurves, we have what we call open or lens shooters. These are compound bows and they have cams that rotate the string and make it slightly easier to pull back. They are similar to Olympic recurve with the long stabilizers and the side lens. Their sights can still move at times, but have marks to move to, and it's much bigger. They have a peep, which is a smaller hole in the string the archer will look through to make their sight clear and line up with the sight. These bows also have a string that is tied and look into the main string, where their release will hook onto the clip. It is also used as a knocking point so the arrows are placed in the same spot over and over again. Compound releases are so much different than what recurves will use. There are many different types, and it all is dependent on whether each archer prefers. There are hinges where you have to tilt your hand back in order for it to go off, back tensions where you have to pull through with your back, and thumb button where you press a button in order to make through your release go off. There are plenty of other variations inside and outside of those, but those are the main ones I see people use. Now the very last category is fixed pins or bow hunter setup. They are compound bows, but the front stabilizer can be no longer than 12 inches, and they can have side stabilizers as well. The sights are much different. There can be no lens or any form of magnification on them. There is a max of 5 pins, but there is a choice if you want anywhere from 1 to 5 pins, depending on what you are shooting. And once the competition starts, you can no longer move anything in your sight unless you have the equipment failure or a breakdown. But you are only allowed one of those. The setup for these bows is very much a hunting setup, but when it comes to a target archer, people can just have a fancier equipment. The release aids are the same as well. It is just completely up to the archer's preference. Those are all the main categories of bows. There are some subdivisions of one might see at a local state competitions, but they aren't much bigger in national tournaments. I hope teaching you all this about this makes sense and makes you want to try shooting at least once. Thanks for listening.